Okay, I've got it pulled up, so we'll see what happens. Well, I heard myself on the audio, but I just see a black. Okay, I've got it pulled up, so we'll see what happens. There it goes. Well, I heard myself on the audio, but I just see a black. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 2024 Anime Twin Cities board meeting. You can find the agenda for the board meeting in the description. There's a link that will take you to that page. These meetings are counted for attendance regarding voting rights. To be counted as attendance, please fill out the form in the description, and also please put a greeting in the chat to show that you were here in the chat. We are changing up the format just a little bit this month. We're putting the open session at the end of the meeting. So that way, and if you guys come up with any questions during the course of the meeting, you can put them in chat first, but we're going to wait until the end of the meeting to go over any questions. So maybe just wait for your questions until the end of the meeting. That way none of them get lost in the chat log. That way we can take care of everything. All right. So then the first thing on the agenda is to recap off-cycle board actions. We didn't really have any this month, so we can move on for that. The second item we have is a planned discussion from the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee. And so we have Joanne here with us tonight, and she is going to present us with a proposal.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. And my name is Joanne Blatchley, and I'm president of the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister Cities Committee, SPNSCC, which is slightly shorter. And we have been the privileged recipients of financial assistance from Anime Twin Cities for a number of our events in the past. Most recently, the last few years, we have asked for help with our cherry tree celebration. The St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee is the oldest sister city relationship between the United States cities and any city in Asia. And the fact that it started 10 years after the bombing, the horrible bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, is a testament to the faith and the forward-lookingness of our founders, all of whom have passed, because we are now 69 years old as a committee and still going strong. So this year on May 4th, which was a very rainy, yucky, cool morning, 300 people showed up for the Cherry Blossom Festival. And we moved the festival from June to May because in 2022 and 2023, the first week of May was when the cherry blossoms bloomed. The cherry blossoms being on a gift of 20 trees from the government of Japan in 2012, planted at Como Park. Because we didn't have winter, they had bloomed 2 weeks earlier. So you try, but you can't control the weather. Anyways, in the Obon Festival, which is the lantern lighting festival, Japanese lantern lighting festival, which has been going on for some 20 years, is a partnership between Como Park Zoo and Conservatory, the Japan American Society of Minnesota, and the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee. So we are the three primary movers of that. And everybody has their own job, and the job of the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee is to provide the entertainment on the main stage. And so this year we have Koto, which of course is very traditional. We have a J-pop band. We have Harrison Daiko. We have Enzo Daiko. So 2 taiko groups whom I'm sure have played at your events. We have 2 dance groups, and we also have a kendama demonstration. And I think that will be a really fun piece. We had them last year. Also, the Consul General from Chicago is coming for this event, and he will speak briefly at 6:30. So it's really the premier event. We have had 9 years ago, we had 15,000 people come. Of course, during the pandemic, nobody came, but we're working our way up, and we're thinking we'll probably have about 8,000 guests this year. And it happens on the 3rd Sunday of August, which this year is the 18th, from 3 p.m. Or actually, if you're waiting in line at the main gate, it starts a little bit before that, because Sonsei Yosekai will be performing. And as you enter the main gate, you'll hear Taiko Laborative playing as well. So it will be a real fun event. There are lots of vendors, lots of things to buy. I understand we have 5 new food vendors, which is good, because the lines have been quite long. So it's been the Sister City's responsibility to provide the entertainment. And so we have a stage manager, coordinator, who kind of runs silly on the day, and who also has contacted all of the different groups that are performing, and we send out contracts to them. So last year and the years before, we have been cooperating with JASM, the Japan American Society of Minnesota, to write a grant. Our organization is not bricks and mortar. It is totally volunteer-led. We get no resources from the city, which many sister cities do, but not here in St. Paul. So we did not get a grant that we had been expecting. And I came back and asked Anime, would it be possible for you to give us some money towards that? And very generously, you have donated $5,000, which is about the cost. It varies from year to year, but that's kind of the ballpark number that we expect the entertainment will cost. So that's a little bit of background. And now I was asked by Christina and Hope to come up with a written proposal so that this might be an ongoing relationship between the Sister City and Anime. Were you able, Christine, to mail that to everybody?
Yes, I did forward it to everybody. I don't know if everyone got a chance to read it before the meeting, though.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
I don't. What do you guys think?
I would just read it, because then it's on for people who are viewing this later and Excellent. Can see what's going on.
Okay, dear Christina and the ATC board, the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee is grateful for your generous donation towards the entertainment on the main stage at the Obon celebration at Como Park on August 18th. There will be traditional koto music and lots of energetic taiko drumming and dancing. Thank you so much for your donation. Going forward, SPNSCC is happy to have Anime Twin Cities as our fiscal sponsor for the main stage entertainment at Obon. We propose that this relationship be revisited periodically, and that either party can signal their intention to withdraw from this agreement by March of the calendar year of Obon. Anime Twin Cities will be credited in the program and by the stage MC, and may have a banner or sign indicating the same. We understand that ATC does not want to plan the program or hire the participants. That duty remains with SPNSCC. SB and SCC is delighted with this partnership, and we trust that ATC is also. Signed by me.
Wonderful. So I think we should vote on if we want to accept that proposal. Does that sound correct?
Do we want to have any specifications in regards to what the donation would be? Is it going to just be the 5,000 every time? Because I mean, I'm okay with that, but I want to make sure that we have something.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would probably be more flexible than that, just depending on what their costs are that year. Because it's definitely, it could go up in the future. And so I guess that's, we can revisit it in March of every year just to
That's
see
fair.
what they're thinking for that
Sure.
year.
Last year, we were blessed by having an international group set of performers, which we had not expected would happen. And so that was an extra set of monies that we had not anticipated. Basically, the entertainment goes from 3 until 8. So we've got, the taiko groups and the dancers and the kendama group and everybody each gets about a half an hour of performance time.
I'm cool to vote on it.
Okay. So I guess, okay. I propose a vote to accept the proposal from SPN SCC. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Oh, seconds. Okay. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, good. All right. Looks like everyone is in favor. So we will codify that. We will make sure it's in our charities documentation to do every year.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so very, very much. It relieves the anxiety of what happens because we're here, and I promise that our board will be in touch with your board as needed throughout the year.
Perfect.
And of course, we want to make sure that we have some email addresses so that we can let you know what it is we're all about besides the Obon Festival.
Yes.
So I will send that information out to Christina, and anybody else can join us. You can look at our Facebook page. It's pretty much up to date right now. There are lots of photos of the 10 Japanese guests that we have visiting from Nagasaki. First time we've had a full delegation from Nagasaki since the pandemic. And we're excited to have them.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Joanne.
Well, thank you so much for your generosity.
Yeah.
And my husband's doing the dishes, so
I can hear.
mute. Thank you
All right.
very, very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Then the next thing that we have on our agenda is that I just wanted to go over that we do still have our Anime Twin Cities coordinator position for communications open. That's someone to handle our social media and write a newsletter for us with stuff in it, like the SPN SCC events and other things. In addition to the communications position being open, the special events coordinator position is also open. That is someone that heads up us visiting different conventions as well as different events across the Midwest. This upcoming month, we have sponsored ToshoCon, which is a library con in St. Paul. It's a free convention. It's targeted towards teenagers, but anyone's welcome to join if you are interested in that. We have the information posted on our social media. And then also the Obon Festival is also this weekend, and we just heard a lot about that. So I won't go into it again. Then the next update would be our Anime Detour update. Take it away.
I assume that's me. So yeah, not a tremendous amount since the last planning meeting. Those are all on the Anime Detour YouTube, so do catch up there if you haven't already. I think the more exciting things is that we've been interviewing people like Mad. So the vast majority of our departments are going to have heads very soon. I mean, many of them do. Most of them do already, but most of the openings will soon have be filled, and we'll have more announcements out. We have also acquired, I guess,
You are cutting out.
I don't know if
a
it's just
lot,
me.
Stacey.
Okay, yeah, you're cutting out a lot all of a sudden. You're frozen.
and
Oh yeah, no, this is.
Yeah, maybe you need to leave the call and hop back in. I don't know.
It was terrible last night too. I'll try without camera.
That works.
That's working better. I can hear you now.
Okay. and I'll keep it briefer than I tend to. We're acquiring staff. We're doing it quickly. We're acquiring leadership. We've been doing interviews like mad, and things are progressing well. Stay tuned for more.
Okay, perfect. If that is all that you have, then we can go on to Sky for the financial numbers.
Yep, 1 second here. Let me pull it up. It was pulled up and then it crashed on me.
Oh no.
So it being July, the total amount of sales we made this month were $1,661.48. The current balance in the main checking of the bank account right now is $341,105.70. The education fund has $3,098.16, and then the other savings account has $14,500 and $506.30. And then the total amount of expenses this month so far were only $11,177.26.
Perfect. Thank you so much for going over that. So then the next item on the agenda is a 15-minute break. We could vote to skip this. We do have a lot after this, so I don't know, but we haven't been going that long yet, so I think we could probably skip it and maybe take one later if we need to.
All
right.
Initiate motion to skip it.
Okay, all in favor of skipping the break? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so then the next topic we have for discussion is the charities discussion. So basically, I went through ATC history to see kind of what we've done for charitable giving in the past. It's a little bit difficult to tell what exactly was donations versus what was expenses because they were all kind of like on the same spreadsheet, and I didn't want to have to spend, like fine-tooth combing it. But so basically in the past, it looks like every May, we would write a bunch of checks and send them out to different people around I guess not even necessarily the metro. I mean, at one point we donated to someone in South Korea, I think. But so we donated to different charities. The amount of the budget ranged between like 5,000 and 60,000, which might have also included expenses, not necessarily just donations. And so in 2020, of course, that slowed down. 2021, it slowed down. And in 2022 and 2023, we donated $3,500 both years. And then so far this year, we have donated $10,500 to different organizations. So what we were discussing was looking at doing an additional donation of $10,000 and split it up between 10 different organizations that we've donated to in the past. There was a whole bunch of them. I figured 10 would be a good number to try to reduce the amount of work that Sky has to do. One thing I had been trying to find out, Sky, is it easier for you if you just get like the mailing addresses for all of these and then you could mail out 10 checks? Otherwise, all of the ones that I selected, they have like online payment options. It's just that's, 10 different websites you got to log into and put a credit card number in. I don't know what works easier for you.
I feel like mailing checks would be easier because we would know what that check was used for if we saw it on the bank account. So if you click into the check, we would be able to see what that check went to instead of like seeing the credit card payment going to whatever
Like
card
PayPal
processor they're using.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. My only thing with checks is that, if they don't cash them right away, then it's like you have to carry it over to next year. But I mean, that's something we did in the past, so I don't think with any issues.
Or we could contact them as well and ask the preferred
Yeah.
way of payment.
That's true. Okay. All right. So good to know. Should I read off the 10 people we selected? Does that sound like a good thing? Okay. So the first one is the Japan America Society of Minnesota. That is one of the other ones that helps run the Oban Festival. And then the Normandale Community College Japanese Garden. Then the Twin Cities Japanese Citizen League. They help with legal fees and stuff. I could probably I'll send this to Nick and he can put it in the notes, and then if you want to, you can look into their websites on our notes later. Then there's also Can Do Canines, which does dog training. Then there's a scholarship that you can contribute to for the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. And then there's another organization called Youth for Understanding, which I believe does, it's an exchange program. Then under art, there's the Organization for Transformative Works. And then there is the Autism Society of Minnesota. Actually, it is. That's what it's called. Okay. I just have like the abbreviation, so I'm like, I didn't write this down. And then donating to Como Friends, the zoo itself, and then the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. So those were the 10 that I had picked out from who we've sent donations to in the past. So basically what I'm looking to do is vote on, should we send $1,000 to each of those organizations to increase our donations for this year and get back in the swing of us donating our money.
Yeah, I'll start a motion for that. I'm okay with that.
Okay. I second it. All in favor? Bruce,
Yep.
Kevin, Allie. Perfect. All right. So I will get that information over to Sky and we can figure out the best way to process those payments and try to get that done this month. And yes, Hope.
Just wanted to say, if there's any particular charity that people think would be a good fit for us to donate to in the future, feel free to make sure you let us know, because there's only so many things that we know as a group, and we're more than welcome to have more input in where charity donation would be going to. So that's all.
Yes, and I completely forgot to put it on the coordinator updates. We do have a charities coordinator position open as well for someone to handle all of this stuff so that I don't have to figure it out. Anyone that wants to help with that would be great. Okay, so if that is all we wanted to discuss for the charities discussion, the next item is about contract signing. So for our different events, basically Anime Detour. Contracts need to be signed for many different things: hotels, guests, other things that I don't know about. And basically, JC had asked who all has approval to sign contracts on behalf of the Anime Twin Cities board. And so, as far as we can find in precedents, it is just the chairman, but he would like other people to be able to sign as well. Do you think you can maybe talk about who else you were looking to be able to have sign, JC? Or okay.
Yeah, and I'll turn my camera off again because network. But yeah, essentially, I would like the ability to essentially, set people, and perhaps I can do it with a message to the board that I'd seek additional authorization for. But just sort of have a process of sorts, so that it doesn't always have to come to me, and specifically that it doesn't have to come to the role of the chairman. As I am a lawyer, I kind of don't mind being the check and looking at all the contracts. But
And you've gone out again. Last thing I heard was, as a lawyer, I don't mind being the check.
Nope. Oh, seems to be back.
All right. I may also resort to chat if I can't
Okay.
get through consistently. But I was saying, that might make less sense for the position in the future. If it's not somebody who is the most equipped to look at contracts, it might make sense to farm that out a little bit. And my key thing is that, in many cases, in most cases, the chairman is not doing the negotiation on the contract. The guest's head is doing the terms of the guests. If programming is recruiting an act, then the programming head or somebody in programming is negotiating those terms, so on and so forth. And typically the whatever is being, accounted for in the contract, whatever is being awarded, is coming out of that individual department's budget. So to me, it makes sense that whoever negotiates the contract would have authorization to sign the contract as well. Again, with some oversight, with some process. I would want that to make sense that the person responsible for the person sign. Also,
We're garbly again. Poor JC.
How about letters? Bad?
Better.
Most obvious.
All right. I'll do a combination, and if y'all tell me it's good, I'll stop typing. So I said I think it makes sense for the person responsible from a budget standpoint as well as a decision-making standpoint to also be the signatory. And I think it makes sense. We have some other things in place as well, but if I'm just not available, I don't like it when things have to stop because one person can't do a job at the time. There should be something where at least a few people are authorized. So if one person is down, somebody else can look it over and say, "Yep, we're good to go. Go ahead and sign."
Was there a particular person that you were wanting to designate as a backup for you?
I mean, if we're saying an individual right now, I think Buttons is probably the most reasonable as guests.
I heard Buttons and then you cut out again. Buttons as a guest head and Niketa as assistant chair. Okay.
And so what do we think? Do we think that, yes, Allie?
There is a good point that's raised in chat, suggesting maybe over a certain amount have two people look at it just as an extra check. But otherwise, and I do think that's a very solid point. Other than that, I think it is good to have things where there can't be where there's less potential for severe delay if, say, JC is the only one approved but is tied up with work business and can't handle signing the guest contract and there's a deadline looming for them. Having a secondary option, in this case, a tertiary option with having Buttons and Niketa both could be really helpful.
Well, so do we want to have it be specific people authorization, or do we want to have it be like leadership level authorization?
I think it makes the most sense to keep it where we have it as the chairman, and then at the beginning of the cycle, the chairman will designate, here are my backup tertiary, whatever verbiage you want to use for it, for this cycle, and then we just reassess every cycle moving forward, so that it's the chairperson, whoever that chairperson is, and then at the beginning of the cycle, whoever that chairperson has deemed appropriate for that year to be the additional signers for those contracts. And then that way there's no specific names that we're tied to, and it can continue on and be an evolving document for year after year after year.
And then
something like that would allow us to have like documentation at the board level of who has that authorization. So we don't have, Fred Jones randomly just saying, oh yeah, I totally was authorized to sign this contract. And it's something super weird that they had no authorization to do at all. Apologies if anyone watching is named Fred Jones.
And then I assume we want to have something. So okay. So it sounds like we need to write it down as a policy and actually document it. And then two, I believe in this documentation, we should include that all contracts after signed or as signed should be uploaded to the shared drive, all the ATC documents that have everything in it. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and then we can, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Can we vote on it before we write it down? I think we can. Before we write it down? Okay. All right. So we can write it down via email too. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
That makes sense. Okay. So I will try to get that written up in the next week, and then we can vote on it as an off-cycle action and go from there. Okay. Okay, I have 20 tabs open. Where'd my agenda go? There it is. Okay. So then the next item I have on the agenda is the IT discussion. And so that is from Bruce.
Give me a second.
No problem. Bruce is traveling this month, so he is away from all of his normal things.
I'm going to unmute mine just so it's not just dead airspace.
That's fair. Do you think I should share the proposal on the screen?
If you guys can share the proposal on the screen, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, let me find it.
All right, guys. So main thing is just the proposal document is going over just going over what the responsibilities, reporting structure for the IT department that will be going. Basically, what my aim is to have it function as the committee that floats between the actual events that reports to the ATC board, with Charles being a coordinator under ATC, but also indirectly reporting to the event chairs as needed. And then any tech or IT department head for any of those events will be part of it. And it's just kind of fleshing out the purpose, vision, and that type of stuff. And of course, Charles can have any input of additions or retractions for that.
Okay, and so I guess I don't really understand how we make a committee. Or if we just say that it's a thing and that it's a thing.
It would basically just propose it for that. I just basically, the committee is the department itself. It's just a different name.
Okay. And does anyone else have any opinions on it? Should we do it?
It can also be tabled until Charles has a chance to review it as well. I just know that I had prompted it for this meeting. So.
I like the idea of tabling it so that Charles can review it first before we finalize, so that everybody's on the same page.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't think he got a copy of it, so I can forward it to him, or someone else can forward it to him. I don't know. All right, so cool. We will come back to that then. Yes, Bruce.
All right, just an additional question. What else do we have left? Because I'm actually inside the concert hall right now, so I don't know if my coverage will go out or if it'll be too difficult to hear me on anything.
Just discussing the treasurer position and then the open session. So I guess if you end up having to leave, it should be okay.
Okay.
So, okay. Let me stop presenting. Okay, and so next on the agenda is treasurer position. Our lovely Sky has informed us she's going back to school and will not be able to help us after fiscal year end. And so I have put out feelers for my resources. Like, my husband works at an accounting firm, so I was like, can you try to get a volunteer? And I've talked to a couple of people that applied for staff that might have the right experience for it, but I haven't gotten anywhere. So I think we probably need to start looking into how to make it a paid position and get it handed over before Sky can't help anymore. So I think there's a few different companies we could go through. One thing I guess I did want to discuss, let me pull it up, is, so I'm sure we can hire someone to do all of the outside of con things, no problem. But the at con things might be more difficult. So I was wondering if that's something the chair and the vice chairs could possibly take over. I am pulling up what those responsibilities are right now. And I don't know if anyone else knows an accountant that would want to volunteer their time, but I tried. Let's see. Nope, that's the agenda. Okay. So basically, during Anime Detour, make sure all registers that accept cash have enough change. I'm not even sure if registration took cash last year. Does anyone know?
They did, and a surprising number of people were looking to do cash.
Pay with cash.
From what I
Okay,
recall.
so we definitely need merchandise and registration, but I do believe those are the only two places that need cash.
Yeah, and then they'd be responsible for writing checks for the guests and stuff while they're there, and then handing out the cash to the guests and stuff.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, make sure all guests have their checks. If they did not meet their guarantee, the ability to write checks on the spot is needed as well. And then preparing cashing checks for guests / sponsors, etc. before the convention starts. So I do not know if that's something that we can have the chair team handle or not. I just do not I don't know that I could hire an accounting firm to have a person at the convention to do those things.
What might be the easiest way is like to have your accounting person with like the main person of the bank account, and then you could add someone else onto the bank account as well that could sign checks, because that's what me and Kim did. Like her name was on everything, and then I'm just kind of like on there too, as able to sign checks and use the Zelle to pay everyone.
Okay. Well, I don't know if anyone else has any opinions or thoughts on this.
Don't particularly have anything off the top of my head. I do know that it's definitely something that is worth looking into, potentially doing that appointment instead, just for continuation and obligation purposes.
Stage. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I think that we should at the very least look into hiring someone and see what the options are and do some price comparisons. So I'm going to try and get that done before the September meeting or explore other options. If no one else has anything else on that. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting again. And the agenda. All right. So then that was our final item for this month. We do have, the upcoming board projects, bylaws updates, policies updates, trademark renewal. But so now let's go ahead and let's do the open session. So I'm going to pull up the chat and see if anyone has any questions for open session.
There was a question from back when we were talking about charities, asking about in the past the members had a say in choosing the charities that we gave to. How are these picked this year? And did the ATC board choose, or was there an email that was missed that had been sent out?
Gotcha. Yeah, so since it had been so long since we had really done any sort of charity thing, I wasn't really sure what the process was. So like I said, I went through our history of what all donations we made, put all of the people in a list that we've donated to in the past, and picked 10 of them based off of what I think matches our values and interests at this time. Definitely in the future, we can seek feedback. And I mean, this is another, so we're doing $10,000. So that's going to put us at, $20,500 for the year. We could definitely look into doing more this year. Otherwise, there's definitely next year for sure. This fiscal year ends in September. So if anyone wants to email the board with a charity that they think would be good to support, we're happy to take it, like Hope said when we were talking about it earlier.
Because I know that we haven't had a lot of written out guidelines on how things have been done in the past. So there's a lot of learning curves that we're having to navigate. So this is definitely something now that we know that members in the past have, emails have been gone out asking for charities and opinions on who we feel the charities would be appropriate. That's definitely something that we can document so that we can continue doing something along those lines moving forward.
Yeah. And let's see.
And then there was a question in regards to potentially when we were talking about contracts, in about the proposal might requiring a bylaw change, and that approval number that Allie had mentioned. That was just something that was brought up.
For the
Contract
for the contract approval. Okay. Yeah. I think we can definitely make it as a policy for now, because that's just easy to get done, whereas the bylaw stuff is harder. And
bylaws definitely are something, though, that I at least want to make sure that we go through and we make sure are up to date, and this would definitely be something that we could implement into that process. JC has his hand up.
Yeah, just on the bylaws again. I did look them all over when I took this over, and I don't think that there is currently a bylaw answering this any way at all. So I think it's something that we do have to create and put in, but I don't think it's something we've actually had specified in the past.
Yeah, it makes sense.
There is a question from Onizuka asking how long has the board been made aware of this? I'm not quite sure what that question is in regards to. I'm assuming it's in regards to Sky's departure as treasurer. It's a little hard to tell with the
Yeah, I think so. And
wording.
she let us know last month. So we've been looking into options. But I've kind of just been praying the situation would resolve itself, and now we have to step up and resolve it. Because, magic doesn't happen, unfortunately.
Let's see if there's any other ones. Is there any reason the board didn't consult former board members or Kim for how annual charitable giving has been done? Like I said, there hasn't been any documentation, and so there's been a lot of stuff going on. So did not reach out to former board members or Kim, but we did look through, like Christina said, past charitable that had been done.
The last year things were officially done was 2019. So it's been a long time since then. So it's just best to just work with the information we have now.
There is some solid feedback in there too, regarding how PackSet handles like bookkeeping and stuff. Thank you for that. That's actually really
Very helpful,
I think, for what we're looking at.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you for giving us that information. That's awesome of you.
Treasurer vacancy. Okay, yep. So we answered that, and then accessibility also resigned. Yeah, I believe JC reached out to them a little while ago. They never had officially resigned, and then they finally answered that they weren't coming back. So that just got updated. Charitable giving is getting done now because we have the time to do it. We did not have the time in May. There was too many other things going on. And like I said, it hasn't been done since 2019. So we are finally getting back in the swing of things. All right. Do we think anything else is coming in?
I haven't seen any new questions come through.
Okay.
Give it a couple little bit though, because there's that delay between us and the stream.
Perfect.
So they're talking about the fact that there's the board in the last 10 years found the time in May. As everybody knows, there was a lot of things going on in May that deemed it having to be pushed back. It is what it is, and it's time that we've gotten to it. We're working on it, and we're moving forward with it, and it's being addressed. So there wasn't the ability to do it at the time, but there is now, and so we are. Waiting on a question from Onizuka. I'm assuming they're typing.
the coordinator position has been filled at this point. We're not going to discuss that question further. There are plenty of other coordinator positions that are open if anyone wants to apply for them.
Jeez Louise, dropped stuff. If you could get your question in, Onizuka, just because we can't draw this out continuously for eons. We do want to answer your question. If you want to put it in the chat, that'd be fantastic. I also know sometimes the chat tends to, oh, it has been asked. Okay. It has been asked before that Chelsea sent an accusatory email to NEPCON about a then guest head and
Not
board Bruce sits on and now. That's not really a question. I'm not certain what it is you're asking because that's not a question.
Okay, so I guess at this point, we should be good to go ahead and close out the meeting. I'm not sure what investigation would need to be done in that situation. So I would have to check the bylaws into how the votes of no confidence work. I do not have it memorized, but you are certainly welcome to look into them. All right, so it doesn't seem like there are any other ATC questions, so I feel like we are probably good to close the meeting for the day. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor of ending the meeting as of 7:24 p.m.
Hi.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next month. Have a great night.